All right, day 182 of learning by jamming. I will say, I do feel like practicing from sheet music is improving my jamming game. Just that steady, being able to be a little more steady. I know I have struggled with that, but at the same time, my approach has been to work first on creativity and then on being steady. And a lot of people, like a vast majority of people, approach it the opposite direction. Let's work on being simple, steady, and then get creative if we ever even get to that stage. And to me, creativity is more important. Um, and they're both very important. Like, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying just be creative and who cares. Um, Both very important, but I would rather listen to an artist who is creative and off time than an artist who is on time and just completely uninspired. Um, and that's a little bit subjective. Like there's some personal opinion and personal taste involved there, and I acknowledge that. But a big thing for me is the awareness of what is personal taste and not trying to impose that on other people and say what you're doing is wrong. I don't really look at any other musician, regardless of how I personally experience the way that they play, the way that they perform, the way that they sound. I'm not going to look at them and say you're approaching it wrong. I might say I don't really enjoy what you're creating, but why would I even say that? If I don't enjoy what someone's creating, you know, I can leave. If it's at a restaurant and I'm like, man, this music is just kind of ruining my experience, I can go to a different restaurant. If I'm scrolling YouTube, I could definitely scroll to the next video. It kind of blows my mind that there are people who have the time and desire to put a negative comment on someone's video when you don't even have to listen to it. Like, if you don't like it, just move on. So, having said that, what I'm doing in the approach of learning by jamming is for a reason. It's because I wanted to approach an instrument with a little bit more of an experimental and kind of free, in a way, approach, but at the same time, learning music is freeing too. Like learning to keep a steady beat, that coordination, that internal um, metronome, and just the practice of playing something steady over and over, it does feel better. It is actually freeing to bring that into my jamming, but at the same time, it's like everything you do is going to give you some benefit, and that benefit will be there when you augment it with something else. It's like how I approached Spanish. This is one reason I can really defend the way that I'm learning. I did not get um, I did not get grammar with Spanish. I didn't get the tenses and the different forms of the words. Um, and so in college, as everyone else is memorizing or trying to comprehend and understand and study to all the verb tenses that we're learning, I decided I'm just going to memorize a crap ton of words. And I just try to read. I'd read articles on Wikipedia in Spanish, and I wouldn't understand most of them, and I'd write down every single word I didn't know, whether it seemed important or unimportant. Often, I'd learn that it was actually a form of a verb that I wasn't familiar with, and then I just wouldn't worry about it. I'd say I'm going to get it eventually through exposure. And I struggled through Spanish, for quite a while because I did have a ton of words memorized, but it didn't really help me. Then I went to a Spanish-speaking country, and the first time I did that, in 1 week, I went from being completely helpless in the language to being able to have a slow but meaningful conversation, like to discuss philosophical and religious and political and social, and just like I could discuss pretty much whatever I wanted in fairly general terms. and I had valuable, meaningful conversations with people after 1 week. Then I wasn't in a Spanish-speaking country for a while. I went back a couple of years later, or one or 2 years later, and spent 6 months in South America. And at the end of a couple of months, I was fluent. And somebody who hadn't, I think that most people who hadn't just thrown a bunch of random information and memorization at themselves and said, yeah, this will come in handy one day. Like, I'm sure it will all come together eventually. They would not have been fluent after 2 months, even of, pretty much continuous exposure. And that's the same approach I have with drums. Like, all this, all these words, if we compare each note to a word, I don't know how to make sentences with them yet, or it's not in time, it's not in tempo, like whatever. But I'm trusting that the memorization of the motion, the memorization of where the drum is, and all that will eventually come together. And I've had people mock that and be like, oh yeah, I'm sure it will all come together tomorrow. No, I don't expect it to come together tomorrow. I know it's going to be a process, and I know that starting to read music and practice in other ways is going to be part of that process. But there is some sort of foundation here, even if it seems chaotic, even if it seems random. There is a skill set that I'm developing, but I'm not able to utilize it or apply it yet because of other things I need to work on. But it's not wasted time, and that's all I'm getting at is no matter what angle you approach learning something from, it's not going to be wasted time. And yes, there might even be some things that you have to unlearn at some point, but the things that you have learned are going to be much more valuable and greatly outweigh that. And as long as you are teachable, as long as you can accept, like, this particular little aspect of how I'm approaching it or of what I'm doing isn't serving me, and be willing to relearn that little thing, it's just like changing out, I don't know, it's like changing out the air intake on your car. You're like, after you have built the whole car, all the other pieces are still there. It's not that big of a deal. Just change out the air intake, and now you have a higher performance car. It's not like everything you did was wrong just because your air intake could be upgraded. And so that's kind of how I'm looking at this. Anyways, let's play some music. We're going to go to listen now, and let's do Boyce Avenue keeps coming up. And they have a couple of songs I really enjoy. I don't know why it keeps getting recommended. It's been a long time since I've listened to them. And even then, it was like one song that I could name and maybe one other that I'd recognize. So let's put them on. I've ignored it for a long time because this feels like a band that's not, like everything they do kind of fits into this somewhat narrow spectrum. And I like to have variety, but whatever, like, let's put them on. Maybe they're going to surprise me.
From the day we arrive on the planet and then can step into the sun, there's more to be seen than can ever be seen, more to do than can ever be done. Some say all the evening, some say live and let them.
guess since this is a commentary heavy video, the song like wasn't that exciting to me to play, but it did feel nice to be kind of tight at the beginning and feel like I was on tempo, things were lining up. And then as I got kind of bored with it, then I took the more experimental, like let's just do a bunch of stuff. Let's try hitting really fast and I'll just play around and mess up, because like not being afraid to mess up is still a part of my values as a student, a learner, a player. Now here's an interesting one. James Bay, One Life.
All I wanna do is with you in your arms, and I want this moment. I've been having dreams. Have you been too? I've seen you by the door, rushing in from the room at the back of the garden. Do you see that?
Interesting thing about music is how it expresses such vastly different emotions and ranges of viewpoints on life and everything else. Just that was James Bay, One Life. James Bay been with the same girlfriend since he was 16. He's my age. He's like 34. His music has progressed from very angsty to that kind of cute, acoustic-y, still kind of pushing a few things as far as like the melody and his approach to it, always trying to do something that's a little bit unique, but it still felt like this more cookie cutter. cute song, and very much becoming more true to himself as someone who's very dedicated and committed romantically. And you realize that some of his other songs like really highlight his talent as a writer and a performer, because he captured a lot of different perspectives and emotions about breaking up, and not that those aren't real to him in some way, or that he and his girlfriend didn't potentially go through tough times, challenging times that they thought they were going to break up, maybe that they did break up and get back together, I don't know. But really fascinating to listen to his music and hear one story about his approach to romantic love, and then to listen to or read his story and understand that that didn't all reflect exactly what it actually was. And then you hear Ed Sheeran, which is the next song, Happier. You look happier about someone definitely moving on. And also, I don't know, did Ed Sheeran write the song? Is it about personal experience? Was it written by a songwriter and he just performed it? I know that he does write a lot of his own stuff, but that doesn't mean he writes all of his own stuff. Is it a thought experiment, which is what a lot of songs are, especially like James Bay? He was writing with a friend, and the friend was going through this, but together they put it into a song, and it doesn't reflect his own experience, it's his friend's experience. And so, like, is Ed Sheeran, is this an imaginary story? Is it based on something that really happened? And a really good artist can convince you that it's a real story, that it really happened, and you will feel that way as you hear the song, regardless of whether that is true or not. So I have no idea, but here's Happier by Ed Sheeran.
Walking down 29th Park, I saw you in Amazon. Only a month we can apart. You look happier. Saw you walk inside a bar. You said something to make you laugh. I saw that both your smiles were twice as wide as ours. Yeah, you look happier. You do. Told me one day
love that turnaround at the end. Kind of real, you know, things change and people move on from one person to the next person thinking that next person's going to be better. Maybe they are, maybe they aren't. Maybe this time around they just decide to deal with the flaws because we all have them, and we're a little bit less idealistic. We start to realize no matter who I'm with, they're going to have their flaws. Or maybe genuinely that person was more fake, just put on a good front, and you realize that the person before really cared about you, and maybe they're there waiting for you when that next person who made you happy for a short time breaks your heart like they were always intending to because they're a player. Let's move on to one more song, and I don't know what it's going to be, but I have a feeling it's going to be in this kind of acoustic-y theme because I started off with that Boyce Avenue. It is. It's the Zac Brown Band. It's been a long time since I've heard them. I feel like they were kind of popular when I was in high school. I don't know this song. It's Jekyll and Hyde, but let's see what it is. It sounds kind of cool so far.
Every morning when you come downstairs, there's a mess, but I don't care. Makeup on, shining so bright. My own sweatshirt and your face so right. Getting around the radio, humming the words that you don't know. I'm finding an angel off my leg, thinking it don't get no better than it did.
Okay, well, it's Sunday. I can do whatever I want because it's Sunday, so I'm going to play another song.
I can honestly understand why it's so good. I can go through the motions of walking away. I can give you the key and take my things back.
I can do whatever I want. I'm gonna shut that.